Hello to our second video on Den-O Figuarts. Back in 2012 and 2013, depending on how you see it, either one of these can be considered Den-O's final form. This is his final form with his own power, not the Imagines, and whereas this one is all the Imagines combined together for their ultimate power form or whatever. Now, I have reviewed both of these figures actually. This one, yes, as well as another Climax form, the regular Climax form release, but this one's the exclusive one that only has one difference compared to the original. So that means I have already gotten rid of the original one because it's the exact same bloody figure minus that one effects piece. So if this is your first video, I am doing 6 days, 6 videos based on almost all of the original releases of Figuarts from the Kamen Rider Den-O series. So I've already taken a look at the 4 regular forms of Kamen Rider Den-O in the previous video. And for the next videos, I'll be taking a look at the secondary riders, Imagines, Dark Riders, as well as the Kamen Rider Den-O bike. So be sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and that little bell button to get notified when the new video comes up. And if you like what you see here, don't forget to thumbs up. If you don't like these figures, thumbs down. Support this channel. You can support this channel by watching my videos with ad block turned off, or you can also head over to Patreon and supporting it that way. And be sure to leave a comment below how you feel about these figures, as well as how you feel about me taking a look at some of these older Figuarts like this. With the Real Bone Kamen Rider sword form and rod form coming out, as well as Bandai announcing their Real Bone flat form and Momotaros, I thought this would be a good time to take a look at all of these older Den-O figures. So without further ado, here we go. Here we have our 2 final forms here standing next to sword form, which I'll be using as a comparison momentarily. So let's start with liner form, since that one's a bit more simple, I guess. In terms of accessories, aside from the fist already attached to the figure, he also comes with a train pass, just like sword form, the belt weapon attachments, just like the sword form figure, a pair of spray open hands, and a pair of sword holding hands, which are also identical to the sword form figure, just painted differently. That means he does not have a Ole Sanju hand because, you know, this is himself and not Momotaros or any of the other Imagines controlling his body. Outside of that, our main accessory is of course his liner form sword with the 4 Imagines faces attached to it. All of these are all molded quite nicely, and they all have the articulation just like they should do, just like the wheel weapon. So Momotaro's eyes can open up, and when you're about to rotate it, you can close this up. These are not like linked to each other, they move individually, but whatever, that's fine. So I'm going to close it back up and then rotate the weapon around. Now it's in gun form. Rotate around, X form, and whatever, the what form. There's a little bit of click to it, so it doesn't rotate all over the place when you're posing him or whatever, and that's pretty cool. This peg can pull back a little bit, just like the real toy and what it does in the show. And on the back here, there's a slot for the train pass, so you can just plug that in for the full charge or final attack. Pretty cool. The overall paint job on this, metallic colors are great. The overall quality control is pretty good on this as well, and there are also small details printed on the top there and throughout the blade, and being quite a chunky piece, it's not too much worry about it breaking or whatever. And overall, this is a pretty solid, pretty awesome accessory. Moving over to Cho Climax form, aside from the fist already attached to the figure, it also has a pair of spray open hands, a pair of weapon holding hands, and 1 card holding hand, and all of these are identical to the regular sword form figure. He also has attached to his belt the weapon attachment, which is just like the sword form figure as well. He also comes with a train pass, as well as the regular sword form sword, plus the sword with the effects attachment, again just like the regular sword form figure. However, I did notice a difference here. On the right, on the bottom here, you see that the regular release sword form has a bit more metallic blue painted onto it, whereas the one that comes with Climax form does not have that. So it's missing a bit of paint detail compared to the regular sword form release, which is unfortunate. And that is the same when comparing the special effects piece without the tip of the sword. You can see there's also a bit of red, metallic red detail on the end there that's missing on the one that comes with the Climax form. So that's definitely a bummer. But if you do have the regular sword form releases anyway, then I guess you can just use that accessory instead. The rest of the accessories include all the different to either do the rider punch or rider kick for Climax form. All of the accessories you've seen so far are included with the regular release. But for this limited edition, this figure also comes with a stage act that says Masked Rider Den-O Super Climax form, done in a very nice metallic blue coloring. The base plate itself is a transparent piece of plastic, and under the light you can still see through it. The plastic itself is just a regular stage act. It's not molded in any whatever color. The only difference is that on the top it has that thin layer of metallic blue. And this is a complete stage act with the arm and grip. Sometimes we get stage act these days and Bandai doesn't include the arm itself, which is just ridiculous. And of course finally we also have the Cho Climax wing. So you see metallic blue coloring, the gold coloring, a little bit of an airbrushy feel to it, so it's not quite sharp around the edges. A little bit of red dot on the end. And on the other side we just have this tiny little hole there, which just pegs into the back of Den-O Climax form right here. So I'm just going to plug that in. It is a ball peg, so it does have a little bit of articulation there, just like it sort of wobbles in the movies as well. So that's cool. It's right there. The regular release, of course, doesn't have that peg on the back, but you can probably notice that this piece itself is a separate piece that's probably just glued down to the torso. So there's absolutely no reason why this figure can't have this piece be removed, and so it doesn't have an ugly peg on the back, or vice versa. There's no reason why the regular release can't have a separate attachment to remove the back plate, put this peg on. And yeah, there's just absolutely no reason why this figure had to be released twice. Maybe they didn't know the movie was coming out, or whatever wing thing that they would have when the movie comes out, maybe, but we also finally have the pass in its open form. That's really cool. It's a really nice addition to have than just the regular closed one. Back with the figures themselves, there are a lot of reused parts between all of them. If you look at the Climax form here, obviously he has these new train tracks going down the body, so that's new and different. So all I can see right now is, apart from the joints and the hands, the lower legs here are all identical molds to the regular figure. The arms themselves, as well as shoulder pads and all armor pads, and also the stomach, have all been altered or redesigned from the regular mold to include the train tracks. So while the front of the hands look the same as this one, because he has the train tracks molded down the side, they are new molds. For liner form right there, he reuses a lot more parts. While all of it's been repainted to different color scheme, in the entire lower body, from the legs up to the lower stomach, both of the arms, as well as the neck piece, are all identical pieces with the regular sword form, and you see all three of them are roughly the same height. The Climax form right here, the compound eye effects is pretty awesome, just like the regular sword form, and the metallic coloring on the side as well as this gradient coloring is actually really good. It was good for its time and it's still good now. It just looks very, very nice. Moving down to the torso, now this, I guess you can say it's a quiet taste. Body armor without the extra pieces is a little bit ugly, a little bit, I don't know, it's not that great to look at, but once you apply all the other pieces for all different colors, it does look quite nice. The lithophone on his belt is identical to the one on the liner form one, so there's some reuse parts between these two quote-unquote final form Den-O figures. And not only is the belt and phone painted quite nicely itself, there's also a transparent piece in the middle there, so that's pretty cool. Moving down the body, the overall train trackiness of the figure, it is molded and done quite nicely, but just like the regular Den-O figure, since it is the same mold, both these figures do still suffer from clown feet, where the boots are just a little bit on the large side. Moving over to liner form, the compound effects here are also quite nice, and the different colored eye bits on the side, the metallic coloring, are all pretty good as well. The little train track antenna thingy is quite solid. I will say the Climax form little ear head pieces are a little bit on the fragile side, so do be careful with that. I have seen people snapping that, but this train one feels a lot more secure. The overall coloring on this figure is also a lot nicer as well, like the overall base sort of matte red finish with a nice black lining going all over it. It looks pretty cool. And the overall coloring and quality control is also pretty good as well. In terms of articulation, he's going to be pretty much identical to the regular Den-O sword form figure. It's a double neck joint, look back, look forward, sideways, sideways, full rotation. Shoulder pads are just on a standard hinge, but you know, it's black plastic, so it is hidden relatively well. Hand can go up, dumbbell joint right there, so lots of rotation there. Full rotation here. Double elbow joint, hand is on a peg and swivel. Stomach goes back, forward, sideways, sideways. And older style Figuarts joints, so do be careful with these. They can break over time or become loose. If you want more details on that, watch the regular Den-O form first video. Double knee joint there. Foot goes forward, backwards, toe goes down, whoops, and toe goes up. Over onto Climax form. Head goes back, forward, sideways, sideways. His neck joint is the same mold as the other ones. So this is a pretty clever way to hide the joint. You can see there's a cutoff there, but there's a train track underneath it, so it's okay. It gets the job done. Dumbbell joint again, full rotation, full rotation, full rotation. Double elbow joint, peg and swivel for the hands. That's a lot of movement. Torso goes back, sideways, sideways, full rotation here. Then goes forward, back, sideways. That feels looser as well. Double knee joint, foot goes forward, toe goes, no, this toe doesn't go down. I don't know what that is. Foot is on a peg and swivel, so yeah, lots of articulation between both of these figures. With all of the attachments put together, and you know, there's a little bit of like ball pegs for these two ear pieces just to get ever so slightly out the way when you're articulating the arm. And the axe one doesn't really get in the way, except a little bit. He could just bash his own head. And again, since the wing is on ball peg, it does get out the way just a little bit, ever so slightly when you need it to. So that's pretty cool. With the chest piece here, I will say that this, when you sort of just rotate it to like unclick it from the joint, this can come loose over time, and if you just have the regular one in there, the flat piece, it can also come quite loose as well. So this is an area that can become a little bit on the frustrating side if you're just like messing around with the figure. If you're just posing him, it's fine, but messing around with it, this can come a little bit annoying. Just with the chest piece open up, rider punch, this thing is on a little ball peg itself, again, just to get ever so slightly out of the way if you needed to. So that's pretty good. And the axe form's just plugged in there, glued on tight to the hand itself. And here he is doing the rider kick pose. Overall, in terms of molding and sculpting, yes, they are still on the skinnier side, and the underpant joints is definitely an issue, especially with some of these older Figuarts. The overall looks of these are still pretty decent with all of their armor pieces and their bigger sword, like putting it all together. The skinny hips are not too noticeable. For its time, these were pretty decent figures and came with all the accessories that they needed to come with. But even back then, I felt a little bit annoyed and frustrated with the Climax form, with just adding a wing piece for its exclusive version, because back then it was kind of expensive to get, and I'm just quite fortunate this time to buy all of the Den-O figures in a job lot and managed to get this figure for a relatively cheaper price. I'm thinking if you're just gonna get this Cho Climax form on its own, it's not gonna be that cheap. Still though, if you are a Den-O fan, I'm not sure if these are going to be reproduced in the real bone format, and if they're not, these are still pretty decent figures to have. They're going to be a little bit skinny side, a little bit on the shorter side, but for most poses and most displays, these should look fine. The look of these and the quality control of these are still pretty decent in their own right. So great for their time, and for today, they're still pretty decent figures to have. Subscribe, suggest, and comment below, and of course, take care, have a nice day. I will see you guys soon. Bye bye now.